is your news source evening bulletin for Tuesday, September 11, 2018. Here's what we're tracking. The former member of the Guyana Police Force, Milton Cooley, who was yesterday found guilty of raping a 13-year-old boy, was today sentenced to life in prison. The sentence was handed down by Justice Priya Sunarayan Bihari. In handing down the life sentence, the judge said she considered the emotional trauma left with the child and the fact that the convict showed no remorse after the jury delivered its verdict. Justice Bihari said a clear message needed to be sent to the nation that sees such crimes too often. The 50-year-old ex-policeman maintained his innocence again today and pointed out that the jury made a mistake by convicting him. He said God knows he is innocent and also knows that he would never engage in sexual activity with a male, adding that the jury will have to live with its decision.
Sorry, the whole thing is a fabrication. If you check the medicals, you will see that the medicals said that there's no tampering.
The rape incident dates back to August of 2013 when the man engaged in the sexual penetration of the young boy. Stay tuned, more news is coming up.
We can do more with love. We can share strength with love. We can sail off to something beautiful. Yeah, all I need is more of you. All you need is more of me. Our love is all that we need. Yeah, I wanna love, wanna love, wanna love, wanna love, wanna love you right. Gotta let her love, let her love, let her love, let her love for the coldest nights. I wanna love, wanna love, wanna love, wanna love, wanna love you right. Gotta let her love, let her love, let her love, let her love for the coldest nights. So can we?
Welcome back. The board of the Guyana Chronicle has now sent recently hired General Manager Sherrod Duncan on administrative leave pending the outcome of an investigation into alleged mismanagement of funds and his spending at the company since landing the job 3 months ago. That probe is also looking at his firing of the company's finance controller. That firing has since been rescinded. Duncan announced on his Facebook page this afternoon that he welcomes the move by the board of directors and that God is in charge and all shall be well. The Prime Minister summoned him to an emergency meeting yesterday after he took it upon himself to fire the company's finance controller and offering no reason for the move. It is believed that he may have suspected that she was behind the leaking of some financial information from the company that showed records of his spending since being hired. The finance controller, who was surprised by her firing, has denied playing any role in the leaking of any financial information to anyone. She has been with the company for over 20 years. Her firing was rescinded. Duncan, who still sits on the Georgetown City Council and is on the executive of the Alliance for Change, was installed as general manager under a shroud of controversy, as former board members said he was not the best candidate for the job, even though he also sat on the board of entity as one of its members at the time. Since taking over as general manager, Duncan has made efforts to step up the newspaper's online presence by setting up an online unit and hired staff for the unit himself. Financial records show that he spent over $5 million since landing the job on not just setting up the unit, but also to add more comfort to his office and travels for the newspapers. Guyana's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Greenidge, has made it clear that the government will go ahead with the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding and Framework Agreement with the government of Trinidad and Tobago to improve bilateral and trading ties. The Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industry had called on the government to put off the signing of the bilateral agreement documents until Guyana puts local content legislation in place for the oil sector. But the foreign minister has brushed aside that suggestion, noting that it appeared as though some persons do not really understand the issue.
An MOU, and I emphasize because it seems that the press, as well as those who ought to know better, are imbuing MOUs with some magic that they don't have. An MOU is normally statements of intent that are signed between two countries. They're usually at the level of foreign ministers, but they could be at other levels.
According to Mr. Greenidge, the MOU is not binding but will be followed by other more concrete documents, like the framework agreement that establishes what both countries will be bringing to the table.
The MOU in relation to Trinidad and Tobago and the framework agreement, no different from any of the others. As a matter of fact, in 1999, as we've indicated before, in 1999, the governments of the two countries signed an MOU. It was a 10-year MOU. It was signed and no riot occurred, no sector was destroyed, there was no apocalypse, and I am sure that this will not happen on this occasion either.
Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago have shared close ties for several years and had cooperation agreements in several areas. And finally tonight, the Tourism and Hospitality Association of Guyana, in collaboration with the Hero Caribbean Premier League, are looking at the importance of sport tourism to Guyana and the role the CPL cricket plays in promoting the concept. Cricket in Guyana is arguably the most popular sport, and the CPL has heightened the country's excitement and love for the sport. The CPL commercial director, Jamie Stewart, boasted of the staggering numbers of attendees and viewers of the CPL and how far-reaching it is with the advantages of online streaming.
The economic benefits are very tangible and measurable, but there's also, I think, social and cultural benefits that are more difficult to measure, of how we identify ourselves as citizens, as members of a nation, and what sport can do to contribute to increasing that sense of pride of place and of national pride as citizens of a country.
Last year, the CPL raked in $95 million in the Caribbean, with over 14 million of that coming from Guyana. It was watched over 190 million people across the world. The Director of Sports, Christopher Jones, also noted that the government of Guyana remains committed to sports and promoting sports tourism in Guyana.
We want to see our hoteliers and persons that provide tours not only see an opportunity to fill the hotel rooms, but we want persons from the outside world to explore Guyana, to see what we have to offer. When Guyana boasts about having the largest single drop waterfall in the world, we want people not only to hear about Kaieteur, but go and visit. Where we speak about Guyana having the largest mammals, the largest birds of prey, we don't want the only person to see it in a magazine. We want them to go to those interior locations and experience it for themselves. Because after the sporting event is had, we're hopeful that those persons return to Guyana on their own or invite persons to Guyana.
The first playoff match leading up to the finals happens this evening at the National Stadium, where the Guyana Amazon Warriors will tough it out against the Trinbago Knight Riders. And that's your evening news bulletin for tonight. I'm Alana Bose. Thanks for watching.